Hello, welcome back. My name is Kate, and I am somebody who has experienced and healed from quite a bit of mental health diagnoses and also childhood trauma, but various, forms of trauma throughout my life. There are methods and skills for how to do it. I've learned how to do it. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would I say that I am in my healing journey? I heard somebody else express this recently, and I would say, it's an ongoing process. It is really eternally for the rest of your life. You keep expanding. But I would say I'm at like a 9 or 10. And the reason why I feel that way is because even though I do still have triggers and things that come up, I know what to do with those feelings and I know how to process them. Even the ones that are really dark and feel unacceptable, either to myself or by societal standards, I know how to allow them and how to process them and work them through. So, in today's video, I want to talk about what I and many others in this field have identified as kind of the five general pillars of healing, the five different stages in the process of healing. The first stage is I have some notes here, so I'm going to refer to them. The first stage is to acknowledge the hurt, to acknowledge any feeling of injustice, any damage that was done to you, anything that feels like it wasn't good or it went against what you wanted or your sovereignty. That means remembering what happened and acknowledging it. Now, there are ways to heal that don't necessarily involve this entire process. But if you are cognitively and consciously trying to work on healing yourself, this is the process by which to do your own internal cognitive healing. So first stage, acknowledging the pain, remembering it, and feeling the hurt, feeling the injustice. The second stage is to place the blame where it belongs. This is the victim stage. And I know we all don't like to be victims, and a lot of us like to try to skip this part and go right to a place of posing as a strong person. No, I won't be a victim. But I guarantee you those emotions, if they are not processed, they will get stuck and they will come and wreak havoc in other ways. So, second step, you have to place the blame where it belongs. Even if it was some injustice done to you that you feel like you shouldn't want. Even if the world is telling you you shouldn't feel hurt for what injustice you have experienced, if you feel hurt, if the feeling is there, you have to process it. So you place the blame where it belongs on the offending person, system, whatever it is, place the blame where it belongs. In that second stage, that also includes feeling anger. And this is a huge topic that we'll expand into in later episodes on my channel, but we have to be able to healthfully express that anger. Feel and express the anger. This is something that people, myself included, really struggle with. If you never learned how to healthfully express and experience anger, it's probably going to be a little malfunctioning as it comes out. There's probably going to be a maladaptive way that you've learned to experience and express anger. The third part of this process is to grieve. To grieve anything that you lost by the injustice. If it's something that happened in childhood and you realize that it blocked you from things for years, decades, there's going to be a grief that you need to have over accepting what you lost. Perhaps it was years of development that you could have I could have, been this by now. There's a real feeling of lost time, lost love, lost financial, ability to procure finances or procure security. There's lost time usually is like quite a big one that feels like it just needs processing. You need to be able to acknowledge that you're sad about it, that you lost something. After you've gone through those stages, you've acknowledged and felt the pain, you remembered it, you've placed the blame where it belongs, you've grieved the losses. The next stage comes, and you can't force this stage. You might even go back and reprocess the prior 3 stages, maybe many, many cycles, many times. And then when you efficiently get them cleansed, you come to a place of acceptance where the experience happened, it is what it is, and you begin to be able to release it and to move on. After that stage, there is the stage of expansion, which is you reflect on your own processing of emotions, you reflect on your own experience and come to such a depth of understanding that you then are able to forgive people. And the reason why you can forgive people is because you've had to give yourself so much grace in the process of releasing these emotions and working them through, that you begin to recognize that everyone else is just doing the best they can with what they have, with where they are on their emotional journey, with however they are able to process emotions, because this isn't something that is like common knowledge. It really, many of us have disordered ways of processing emotions. I would bet to say even most of humanity does not effectively know how to process emotions. We just kept passing down trauma generation after generation, which is why I'm actually hopeful about the future, because what I'm discussing here on this channel is starting to become more common knowledge. And it's something people are talking about trauma. They're talking about how to process emotions. There's an abundance of resources to learn how to do it. You can get on YouTube here for free and listen to people talk about it and start experimenting in your own life. Coming back to the fifth stage here, forgiveness. In this stage, and this is again, especially these last two stages, acceptance and forgiveness, you really cannot force yourself into these places. It has to, you might feel, you may feel like, oh, like why haven't I let it go yet? Like why is it still stuck? You've still, there's still hurt there that needs to be processed, and you just have to give yourself grace and not push yourself. You'll really feel the release when you start genuinely and authentically getting into those places of acceptance and then forgiveness. And this is what the human experience is all about, because when you get to that stage of forgiveness, you experience quite a bit of expansion. You have all these feelings that can coexist, remembering hurt, feeling anger, feeling pain, feeling sadness and grief, acceptance, letting it go, forgiveness, and then like looking back on it with a feeling of beauty. That is such an incredibly expansive human experience. And it is what I believe is what we're really here to do. Once you understand how these five processes work, you start to see that people who can't forgive or who believe that empathy is a weakness, perhaps people with cluster B personality disorders such as narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy, people with malignant personalities, sadistic personalities, there's quite a bit of science on the brain and what may or may not be working or missing. But in general, I still have empathy and humanity for these people, and I can see that they do not know how to process emotions. They have very disordered emotional processing. They cannot experience forgiveness because they are not able to get through those first four parts of the process. The way I see and understand and experience abusers is ever shaping, and I may come back and change how I feel about it. I'm very fluid with the way I feel about these things, but that's where I am today and how I feel about it. If you skip any part of the stages in this process, you will very, very likely get stuck and not be able to move forward because you can't get to the stage of acceptance. Now, there are other ways that you can heal that are less cognitive, less like things that you're consciously focused on going through and processing emotion. For one, a very safe and loving relationship can do a lot of healing very quickly with low conscious effort on your part. But it's something that you can't, force, and you can't really plan, that you are going to meet and be attracted to and mutually be in line with somebody who can give that to you and be that for you. So these other ways of learning to process emotions are incredible skills that you need to know how to have, because you can't plan for other ways that you're going to get healing in life. Those are very much not in your control so much. So, to wrap up, I'll just go over the 5 steps that I have talked about earlier. Remember the pain, acknowledge it, and feel the hurt is number 1. Number 2, place the blame where it belongs, feel and express the anger. Number 3, acknowledge the loss and grieve through sadness, whatever it is that it cost you, that hurt cost you. Number 4, get to a place where you are able to accept that something happened to you and to start to release it and let it go. And number 5, finally, the most expansive stage of our humanity is coming to a place of forgiveness and empathy. So we're going to keep expanding on these topics. I will probably do a deep dive on each part of those stages and talk about things that really worked for me or didn't work for me when I was in those stages. And I do want to say that these stages can recycle and repeat for the rest of your life. They take different shapes and different forms, and truthfully, each time that you go through reprocessing, maybe it's the same traumatic memory, each time it does become more beautiful and more expansive. If you can fully get through the 5 stages of the process, there's a treat at the end, and that is expansion, greater depth of understanding, and a real sense of beauty. And enlightenment in a lot of ways too. So stay tuned for more. Thank you for watching. If you've gotten this far, please do like, comment, subscribe. It, of course, helps my channel. I'm grateful for your time and attention, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.